I don't, but I want to. I think I'm on cup 4.
Be a little jittery in a little bit, huh?
How do you think I got the splits I needed? 4 cups of coffee, that's the secret.
Now I got it.
4 cups of coffee, that's the secret. And waking up at 3 a.m. this morning, because life.
Because, yes.
Life.
Good freaking morning. Oh, there you...
Siri, go away.
Oh.
Siri
Now you're going to wake up at 3 o'clock because your alarm's going to go off.
Siri started yelling.
Hi, late Liz. How the heck are you?
Oh, hi, I'm fine.
You showed up late. Now your spot has been
That's okay. I'll just stand off here to
gone.
the side.
What happened to your arm?
Noah kneeled on it today.
In what? Okay, now we're all discombobulated.
Oh, yeah.
We need to be recombobulated.
Where's the recombobulation area? What? I don't understand.
Made it.
Nailed it.
All right, I gotta go top up my coffee. So what happened this morning, Elizabeth? Why
What?
is your arm all broken?
It's not broken. Just got a little bruise. Why are you doing this? Vincent! I hate you guys. Last week, was it last week that you guys walked away while I was talking? And
Yes.
I was watching the live later, and whenever they walked away, you see my face turn bright red. I took a screenshot.
We walked over, she was going, so we both left to go get coffee, and we were over there, we're like, we should just walk right past her. And then so when we came back this way, we walked right past her, and we got over there, and she's like, you could just hear everything stop.
Panic.
And on the video, you can see her face just flush. All of a sudden, she realized she was all by her lonesome.
Yep.
My favorite part was the small pause of the
How do I get over this? I guess I gotta get better at talking to myself.
That's what?
That's pretty easy. Just imagine you're in your office.
I don't talk to myself in the office. Do I? I don't. No, I don't. Do I answer myself?
You sit down every morning, you're like, Liz, how was your day? My day was great. I'm just kidding.
It's really, you're talking to us, but we ain't. Don't tell her, but we ain't.
Right. Surprise. Surprise.
Anyway, what are we talking? Gordon, good morning.
Oh,
hey,
hello.
I talked about this last week, but I'm going to talk about it again until people start doing it. You need to go to our Facebook page. You need to like and subscribe
Our
there.
YouTube channel.
Damn it!
Good grief. No wonder they're not going.
I know.
Didn't say it right.
I said it that way last time too. You need to go to our YouTube page and like and subscribe and watch videos. We're
You have
going
to
to
say
start uploading
it
more stuff.
better, like smash the like button.
Smash that like button. Wherever it is.
Where is it?
I don't know. But do that, please. Rumble too, maybe. I don't know if we're on Rumble, if we've been posting to Rumble, but I think that we should be if we're not.
I think we are.
I think we're on there. I just don't know if we've been putting stuff on there. Janet, good morning.
Oh, hello.
So please go there and like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Pretty, please. And to the Lady Sentinel YouTube page.
Yeah.
Go there. Speaking of Lady Sentinel, what the heck are you wearing?
Oh yeah, I got a hoodie on.
You do?
We got Lady Sentinel hoodies now. They're bright blue. You guys, it's so weird to look down and see something bright colored because, as you know, I wear black all the time. Just black. Everything's black. But this is bright blue because...
Show it back. Now it's backwards, but yeah, you can see it. But they'll get it figured out.
Okay, they'll figure it out.
What it says.
They're so soft and they're warm. They're not super thick, but they are very warm. All right, take it off.
We have bunches of them. There's not bunches. We must have sold a
I
couple
know.
this weekend because
There's only 5 left up
there's
there.
only a
There
few of
were-
them up there, but we still have bunches
Plenty
in the back.
yeah.
So, Lady Sentinel members, come in and get them. If you're not a Lady Sentinel member,
You went anyway.
come in and get them. Please. We do have range hoodies coming sometime. Supposedly.
I'm snagging
Maybe.
one of those.
Yes.
That looks so
It could
good.
happen.
Yeah. Anyway, Jan, good morning. Jason, what's he say? Out of 3 coffee cups,
It's
I
not like
need in
the-
your cup.
one is not like the other. Failed.
Hey, have you tried to take this to... We're going to fight today. Have you tried to take this to go to Quick Trip and see if they'll give you a free refill?
No?
I wonder if that's what this is all about. I don't know. Quick Trip, Elite.
I don't know. I go to the range and
I
they
just
give
kinda
me
want,
free real
Yeah.
I don't get coffee from Quick Trip, but I make it here. But I still just kind of want to try it just to see.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
Maybe. Nick, good morning.
Nice one.
So anyway, what are we talking about today? We're talking about what?
This one doesn't look like 2x4.
2x4s.
It's the only way to drink coffee.
Thank you.
He's probably having tea.
Mike's stylish. And
He's
he
coffee.
told me put
Oh, did
coffee.
you
I
have
have a
coffee?
separate cup for my tea.
Oh, that's right.
I have a teacup.
You're-
It's pretty. And I like my pretty cup. As you can see, my pretty tea.
Anyway, moving right along.
Vincent, what's our topic
We're
about
talking
today?
about purposeful practice today versus just showing up and shooting. Now, when we talk about this,
Thanks, Nick. I couldn't remember from my high school days.
Is there-
I mean, my after high school days.
is there any value to just showing up and shooting?
Yes.
Yeah,
It is fun.
absolutely. And sometimes that's what people need is just to
Inoculate.
rip the trigger and
Have a little fun.
just let loose, not have to be in so control and have such tight parameters they have to meet and all that sort of thing. But once you get past if it's past the inoculation portion
Yeah.
and you want to improve, I'm gonna say this very nicely.
Oh boy.
And because I said it first, it's very nice.
And it's going to be in.
We have a lot of people that show up here and shoot all the time. They are not good shooters. They're not good. And it's probably some of you watching.
You have to define what a good shooter is. We've had this
They
discussion
make
before.
the bullet go where they want it to.
Every time.
Every time. Not the ceiling.
Yes. Being able to just be safe is one thing. That's a part of being a good shooter, sure. But when we have somebody tell us that, hey, I've been shooting a really long time. My wife's P365 there's something wrong with it. It's shooting high right or whatever it was, and I go in. This happened 2 weeks ago. I go in, and they are trying to zero their dot or confirm zero on their dot at 1 yard. The target is 1 yard away.
Sad.
Okay. I mean, I guess you could.
Target was here.
You could.
They were hitting here.
Awkward.
Just aim a little lower and it'll go right.
He's been shooting a long time. He really didn't think it was him. When I started just asking some questions, he was then like, well, I guess it's possible it could be me. And then I went out there and saw the target was at 1 yard, and I'm like, how far away are you shooting? Right there. Okay. Well, let's move it out a little bit first and just see where things are going, and then let's shoot the gun. I put it out to 10 yards and I shot it, and it shot just fine. There was nothing wrong with the gun, nothing wrong with the dot. Everything was as it should be. But he shoots all the time. So he was very confident in his abilities to do the thing. Vincent, what are you doing?
He's trying to look at the
I'm
comment
reading.
from Jason Brown, and I'm really interested
reading.
too. But we
Okay. I'm
gotta
reading
tell
it.
Tim what's in the used case. There's so many.
Okay.
Panic. I'm
Okay,
reading.
panic. Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay. Part the Red Sea.
Good morning.
All right. Go.
Let's go look at the use case.
Let's go look at the use case.
Okay.
I'm kind of interested too, actually.
Now Jason got pulled into something.
This is a conversation we've had with Jason before.
Yeah, Jason got pulled into something last week with sights, and we had a great time. It was me, Vin, Liz, Lewis, who's one of our newer trainers. I guess that was it. And we had a great discussion just about sights and vision and target focus and front sight focus and dots and all that sort of stuff. So I need to read that comment too. But for whomever it was that asked about the use case, it's pretty light, and I apologize. So you all need to start bringing us in some of that. Hold on, where'd the button go? If you have stuff sitting in your safe that's just sitting there, bring it in. Let us buy it from you so that we can sell it. And then you can buy something new and fun, or just buy ammo, or buy training or something.
Yeah.
You have stuff sitting around that you don't use. Bring it in. That is a sexy shotgun. I freaking like that.
The tiger.
Yes. I don't think you like the tiger stripe,
I
but
don't prefer it. Some things I do, but
look at that thing.
But it's pretty.
That is pretty. What is that, 940? Yeah, Mossberg 940. Dang, I like it. Okay, anyway, sorry.
Squirrels.
Use case. We need used guns. So this is what we got in here right now. I've got a SIG P322, Canic MC9, Ruger LCP2, HK VP9, Smith Model 37. I didn't even know that was a thing. Walther Steel Frame Q4, very cool handgun there. FN 510, so a 10 mil, and then a Browning Buckmark 22. So our use case is pretty light. So if you have stuff sitting around, you need to bring it in and get rid of it. All right, so are you guys up on all the comments? Because there's been a couple pop in that I...
I think we're good at the moment.
So before you get into Jason Brown's sites comment,
I want to say, hold
about the
on.
mantis, talk about the mantis.
I want to talk to Miss Lisa. Lisa, thank you, and you have a fantastic Thanksgiving as well. It is so weird. It does not feel like Thanksgiving week.
Because it's 70 degrees.
Yeah, it was 70 degrees outside. I was outside. I went for a bike ride yesterday, which I haven't done in quite a while, and I don't like the fact that it's been so long. But oh boy, my freaking legs are.
Put your face on his shoulder. No, back up. Your head's too big. I need a stool, or here we go. No. Okay, hold on. Stop it. No, we're just supposed to be little faces on your shoulder.
I'll be the evil face.
Anyway, yeah, horrible hunting weather. Definitely not good for deer season right now. But yeah, it was so nice outside. I went for a bike ride, and then I spent a couple hours out there. I have a garage full of bicycles. I have actually sold a couple. So just like the guns you don't use, you gotta get rid of some of that stuff. But I spent a couple hours outside yesterday, just in shorts and a t-shirt, working on stuff. It was awesome. All the kids in the neighborhood were all running around, except for my kids. They were inside doing stupid stuff and whatever.
Video games?
Probably playing video games and doing this. I don't want to do my chores. No.
Good. Yeah,
That's
totally
what they
understand that one.
Anyway,
Video games is good for your brain, though. Just saying.
They are fun.
Elon Musk says so.
to a point.
Moderation. All it is.
Anyway, so what about the Mantis? I don't know. I missed a comment on
They
the Mantis.
asked if it was
asking
worth
about
it.
Oh yeah, I think the Mantis is.
How effective is Mantis X for improvement? Is it worth it?
No,
Yes. So, because it gives you real data.
it does.
Right.
I agree with Nick though
What's he saying?
that there's a ceiling that you're going to hit
Oh.
with the Mantis.
Yeah.
You're eventually going to hit this plateau, and it's your skills are going to get this certain level where the Mantis has diminishing returns,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's still valuable for just feedback on how you're doing.
Yeah.
And you have to recognize when you hit the plateau too, because if you just keep like
Doing the same
trying
thing.
to get that same thing over and over and over again, and you're not really trying to figure out why or apply it in real time, then it's not really, it's more holding you back. I'm not saying that the Mantis is bad by any means. It's a great tool, but just don't forget to check in on the range and with some of the other concepts.
And we're talking about the X10.
Yes.
In my brain, we're talking about the X10 and its ability to tell you like your draw analysis or whatever, how long from the beat till you touch your gun. That's a big deal.
Oh, see, I never.
right?
I should try that. I have not used it for
It's
that.
so much fun.
Yeah, then you start to run into problems because you don't have recoil, right? You can get the Laser Academy to go along with it, so you can at least draw and get one shot. But again, you don't have follow-up shots, which are harder in a lot of cases than the initial shot.
Ooh.
What?
I-
Can you combine it with like Cool Fire or something? Yes,
Well,
you
can.
can.
One of my issues with I have a hard time with follow up, which can kind of lead us into our next part of this discussion is things to practice at the range. One thing that I need to practice, and I try to make a habit of it anytime I go onto the range by myself, is practice follow through and then into a second shot, because I have a habit of getting that first shot and then kind of spending way too much time in recoil and then not getting back into it for that second shot. So I really need to work on that for sure. Oh boy, here we go. Just push the button.
Yeah, push the button.
There we go.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of value in the Mantis systems, right? Also for rifles and their Blackbeard system and all that stuff. I actually, interestingly enough, last week somehow they have my name, Dry Fire Mag, as a contact here. I don't like Dry Fire Mag. I don't, but I took a phone call and I had a great conversation with the rep on the phone, and he's like, I just wanted to see if you guys wanted to carry our stuff and blah 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 blah. I'm like, I don't like it. Well, what do you mean you don't like it? Like,
Explain it a little bit.
This is what I don't like. So Dry Fire Mag is a magazine that you put in your gun that somewhat simulates trigger pull. Okay, you don't get recoil or anything like that, but it
Resets your trigger.
It doesn't reset the trigger.
It allows the trigger to be moved multiple times.
It's almost like a baseball card in a spoke, right? Your trigger moves this little flappy doodle on the mag to make it do a thing.
So it's like SIGs or any trigger that doesn't stay back like a Glock does.
Yeah,
but it's still kind of like dead weight.
It's just not the same.
It's not the same trigger. It changes it.
So I had that conversation with him, and then he said something about he goes, well, have you tried the 365 one or the one with the laser? And I said, no, I didn't even know you had a laser. So they're going to send me one, and I told him, I said, I'll
try it.
I'll try it, and I'll let you know what my thoughts are on it, if I like it or I don't like it or whatever. I'm a very honest person when it comes to that sort of stuff. I don't care how much crap, not that people give me a bunch of crap, but if somebody does give me a bunch of stuff, thank you. I will use it, and if I like it, I'll tell you I like it. If I don't like it, I'll tell you I don't like it, and what I don't like about it. And that I also totally understand it's just me and my preferences. There could be something that I very much dislike that other people that are very good shooters and very intelligent people really like. Those people are wrong, but
I was waiting for it.
That's coming. It'd be interesting to see what it looks like. I didn't even know they had a laser version of a dry fire mag.
I didn't either.
So we'll see if there's any value that I see with that. I've used the Mantis Laser Academy stuff at home with my kids to let them shoot and practice, getting a good aim and understanding the dot and all that sort of stuff and just getting one trigger pull off. I really hate the fact that if you try to do it a lot, you have to rack the slide all the time. That just, in my head, that builds a really bad habit that's hard to break.
Yep.
So
CO2 airsoft gun.
Yes.
Chef's kiss. So much fun.
Careful with that.
So much fun.
Good morning, Andy. Good morning, Kelsey.
Karen has the X10 Elite, yeah, and that's great because it'll work too on rifles and shotguns and all that sort of stuff as well. Okay, so
Jason.
Yes, back to Jason.
So Jason, first, bye, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Bye.
We love you. We'll see you later.
Oh boy, I don't know how to get back to it. Maybe you should.
There it is.
There it is.
You found it.
Found it.
Okay. Did some outdoor target focused front sight awareness research this weekend, and I can definitely say that sights configuration can make it easier or harder to accomplish while maintaining accuracy without involuntary focal plane switching.
Okay. You guys talk about what you're going to talk about. I'm going to go grab the sight cards.
Okay. So we had a fantastic discussion the other day. This is not the first time we've had this discussion. Whenever I first started here and we were having a random discussion in the training office about sights and what people see whenever they keep both eyes open or one eye closed, turned into this whole thing of like what each of us see. Me, Phil, and Vinny all see something completely different depending on, like if we're using iron sights, we see something completely different. Whether the ghost gun is on the right side, the left side, or you see two rear sights or two front sights or two targets or whatever the case is, we each see something different. Me shooting iron sights, I have a lazy eye, so it's usually works
Don't do
better.
it, you're going to scare people.
So it's really cool because I get to look around the corner for bad guys while I'm... Never mind. So whenever I shoot iron sights, my left eye usually goes lazy. I'm very right eye dominant, and I get this nice single focal plane. Shooting iron sights is really easy for me. Shooting a dot changed a lot of things because I'm not supposed to be focusing on the dot. So anyway, so we started down this rabbit hole, and Phil and I were making a presentation video in the simulator the other day to post on YouTube, and the way that I described presenting the gun and training your eyes to focus on the front sight, we got into a discussion after that, and he's like, no, you're wrong. Which, let's clarify something. Forever, everybody is trained to focus on the front sight, stare hard at the front sight. You have 3 focal planes: rear sight, front sight, target. You should let the target go blurry, focus on the front sight, and that is the place where you're focusing hard. So again, back to my lazy eye, it was a really difficult thing for me to do at first when I first started shooting. I really had to train my eyes to focus on that front sight. So I would present the gun, and then I would just stare at it and just stare at it until my eyes hurt, and then I would bring it back down.
I wonder if that's where your neck training comes from, because you pointed that out.
Yeah.
Not too long ago. Oh, from the AG match.
Yeah.
Right. You saw the video of you shooting.
You just saw me do it, didn't
Yeah,
you? Like
yeah.
it was like, oh, I trained my eyes to focus on the front sight. That's actually a really good point. That, you know, I would bring the gun up and I would just try really hard, and man, it's so natural to want to do that now. So
And
I'll
why
work
is
on
that? Like, what?
The body language is like you're investigating something,
Yeah.
so you try to get closer.
But does moving your head this much really make that big of a difference?
No. It's like turning down the music when you're trying to find where
you're trying to listen to you're trying to see something more clearly, so you turn down the radio.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So-
that's a whole other topic.
Right. So that was the way that I trained myself to focus on the front sight. Through the years, through different technological advancements with guns, red dots, and just competition shooting, and this not bullseye shooting bullseye shooting with handguns is not really what they're meant to do. I mean, of course you can do it, you should be able to do it and things like that, but with handguns, competition, defensive shooting, you're not trying to drill out little tiny bullseyes. So this concept of focusing hard on the front sight, shifting your focal plane a lot, it's costing you lots of time and efficiency, and it's not really necessary. So we started going on this rabbit hole. He's like, just see the sights as like you still see them, but you can stay target focused, and you can still see the sights in your
You're
foreground
aware of the sights,
and you can still aim, level them out at the top. You don't need to stare hard at the little dot or anything like that. You should be able to line them up without straining your eyes to focus on it. Not to mention, it's incredibly difficult to train your eyes to look at something like that. When you want to look at the target, you want to see where the bullet goes, which is a whole other thing. But it's more natural for you to look at what you're shooting at. So Jason comes in the room, and we've talked about this with Jason before too, is that you don't need to use the sights. And I'm like, but what about those really precise shots? In really drilling out like a 1-inch square at 10 yards. When I do that with iron sights, I'm constantly shifting my focus from the target to the front sight, to measure them and to keep them perfect in there. But that usually requires closing one of your eyes, and it just brings a whole bunch of mental eye stress.
Complexity,
Yes. So truthfully, I would love to go downstairs, shoot some iron sights, and try to shoot a 1-inch square at 10 yards with iron sights without straining my eyes to focus on that front sight.
So here's part of the problem, though, and
I probably jumped around with that a little bit.
yeah,
so.
you did, but that's okay. So if you're unaware, okay, when you are shooting with iron sights, that one's upside down. Your gun is really messed up if your sights look like this. Okay? When you're shooting with iron sights, it's 3 focal plane shooting. Plane 1 is your rear sight, plane 2 is your front sight, plane 3 is your target at whatever distance. 1 yard, 50 yards, doesn't matter. So forever and a day, this is what has been taught, is that you look through the rear sight, find your front sight, I'm going to put this in the front just so you can see it, and you stare at this thing. Stare at the front sight. So you can make sure that your sights are perfectly aligned.
Equal height, equal light.
Yep, it's perfectly aligned across the top, and you have an equal amount of space on either side. first off, you don't need that unless you're trying to hit a 1 inch square at 10 yards. You don't need them to be perfectly stable and perfectly still. I always make the comment that you've got a weight on the end of a lever, right, on the end of your arms. There's no way you can keep it perfectly stable and perfectly still. If you try to, you're gonna make it worse. You're gonna make yourself crazy trying to do this. You start focusing so hard on this thing that all you see it doing is this, wobbling around, right? Our goal is just to simply look at a target. Let's just say it's that thing.
Do you want me to hold up this box?
No, I was going to, but I don't know that it works, right? But you got to look through this thing and find this thing. You can still stare at that, and you can see this. And if it's, as long as this is in there somewhere, you're good, right? It doesn't have to be perfectly stable and perfectly still and crystal clear front sight. As long as you can see, I'm getting myself confused, this and this on that, and you can pull the trigger without screwing up that sight picture, then you're good. That's where we really screw it up, is we do this. Shazam! Okay, that's where we miss targets most of the time, is in trigger pull. Not in our sights not being lined up. Now, we absolutely see people completely not line their sights up right. Absolutely. I see this, where they just look through they've got the gun pointed, here's your front sight and rear sight. The gun's pointed down and they're just looking through the rear sight. Or opposite, this is what we see most often, the nose is pointed up and they're just putting that front sight. They're staring at the front sight and they completely forget about that freaking rear sight. And they send rounds into the ceiling.
So you guys will see this in movies now. Like, whenever you're like in front of, if you're watching a movie or something, you're in just like this, you'll see them holding the gun down here like this. And they will shoot from down here. You can't even see your sights in your periphery. Now, if I were to actually be aiming a gun at the camera, it would look like this, because it would be lined up with one of my eyes and it would be up in my line of sight. But people always will shoot the gun down here and just completely looking over the top of the gun, not using the sights whatsoever. So that's a whole nother thing. But
now,
you still have to see them in general.
Can you have sighted fire without using sights?
100%.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can still aim the gun without having sights on it, or without even seeing your sights, with it being down low like that, or back here at your hip, or freaking over the top of your head.
Depending on how difficult the target is, how small the target is, or how big the target is, your understanding of your sight picture and your specificity of your sight picture can change drastically.
I'd really like to do a video on this, on the acceptable levels of accuracy and so on, because like if I'm standing at 5 yards and there's an IDPA target or a USPSA target with a generous scoring zone, 0 down zone or A zone, whatever you want to call it, and I'm at 3 yards or 5 yards, I'm not using my dot. I'm using the housing for the dot, the back of the gun. If I can see the gun in front of my face, I'm confident because I've driven my gun out in front of me correctly enough times. I don't need to see the dot standing still inside this, I don't know what the A zone is, how many inches by how many inches, but I don't need to see the dot settle down in there, or my sights, just the back of the gun. Bang, I'm pulling the trigger.
I think that doesn't come for a lot of people, though, until they've been shooting for a while. I'm not saying that
that's not wrong.
All people, but
all I'm saying is that, and that comes from getting used to presenting the gun and knowing that when I want my gun to be in front of me, it's typically in the right spot. But if I'm at that same distance, let's just say 5 yards, and now I have to shoot a 1 inch square, well, now I need to see the dot, in my case, or the iron sights need to settle in there. I'm not just driving out and going off the gross picture of the back of the gun. I'm aiming both times. It's just to what level, at what level of preciseness.
I think that there's some level of us being shooters for a long time and many years, though, that we forget what it's like to try to aim a gun the first time. And first off, the confidence comes from putting the bullet where you expect it to go. And now, we know that that comes from the grip and the trigger press and everything like that, but there's no diminishing the fact that we are very visual creatures, and if we can't make that bullet go exactly where we want it to, or as soon as those sights get in front of our face, whether we're staring at them or not, they're going to be moving. And some people it gets in their head with the dot, some people it's more in the iron sights, but you see it moving, and that movement causes anticipation. You know, a lot of people say it's anticipation of the recoil, which there is some level of the flinch, you know, the human response to the noise, but there is the response of you waiting for the sights to be perfect and try to take a snapshot of it and try to, like, imagine you're taking a picture. You get in really close to that pretty flower and you want it to be like a really up close picture, and then when you hit the shutter, does anybody hit shutter buttons anymore?
Yes.
When you hit the shutter button, it makes the
documents.
the picture blurry because you just moved the camera. You know, if you're trying to get those real precise shots, then in any case, it's all here in your grip. But we're so visual, so if we aim the gun and the bullet doesn't go where we aim it, it diminishes confidence, and then it's like, oh, let me see it harder, you know, and like shake the gun a little bit, you know, then put your head forward, look at it closer. You see all this behavior with new shooters, and I think it's important for us to recognize what it's like to be a new shooter again, because we've been shooting for so long that our sights don't matter to us anymore. Our presentation, our grip, our trigger press, all of that is ingrained in us well enough that we don't consider the visual as much. But we are such visual creatures. New students, you could tell them all day long, like, it's not that big of a deal that the sights are moving. It doesn't matter. Like, they're still going to want them to be perfect. And I really want to have an experiment with the new shooter with this.
We have not talked about our topic at all.
I know.
I mean, we kind of are, but not
You can practice
really.
purposeful practice.
So, Jason did purposeful practice this weekend, which is one of the things I think he was talking about with iron sights and certain colors, and I don't remember what worked out best for him, but he was using a fiber optic front sight that were different colors. We'll just say red and green, and he found that one of them worked better for him to be able to make a conscious decision to stare at the target, and still, when the gun is in front of his face, be aware of his sights and not have to focus his attention on the sights to make sure that they are perfectly lined up, right? He could stay looking out there, and depending on the color of this, one color stood out to him more, and it was easier for him to keep staring out there and still see this. Think of it like you're driving down the road, and this big, juicy, nasty June bug slams into the window, and you can keep looking at the road and still laugh at its little legs going,
Stop it!
and just mushing across the windshield.
Good
right?
riddance.
If you try to stare at those little legs, all of a sudden everything out there goes blurry, and you're doing 80 miles an hour. That's probably not a good thing. You can still see that stuff and be aware of it. You don't have to stare at it. Same with your sights, in my opinion. Now, again, like we said at the beginning, people have been talking, since we have been shooting guns, people have been telling you got to stare at this thing. I'm a nobody, but I think they're wrong. Right? I don't think that you have to do that. And for me, when we were doing some testing and stuff, oh, hi, Vincent.
Hi, welcome back.
When we were doing some testing and stuff in the sim and all that, I have a really, really, really hard time, and I have little doubt why it confuses the crap out of students. When I actually convince myself to stare at the front sight, I see two targets. And then it gets confusing as hell for me to know which target I'm supposed to be looking at. And depending on the distance, those targets get further apart.
That's the complexity of shooting with both eyes open. And this is where I feel like I don't know where I stand on this, because especially since I started training people with revolvers, and one of the ways I was able to get them to pull the trigger correctly was telling them to watch that front sight, and if it starts to lift because you're cranking on the trigger, or it starts to go down because you're tightening your hands.
Explain why that happens.
Because the revolver's trigger press is, so
very
heavy.
Yeah.
It's like 8 to 12 pounds of pressure depending on model, but If you can pull it in a smooth manner and you start to see your sights moving, then you can correct it or abandon the trigger press. So I think that's why it's such a big fundamental thing for me. And again, with my eyes the way that they are, that's where I started, was like precision shooting, which is really why it's so hard for me to speed up now. I definitely see the issues there, but I also see shooters who can shoot very efficiently have a hard time slowing down and getting those precise shots. Like, they just go, 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 and they have a hard time controlling this or controlling the eyes and things like that. So there's a sacrifice either way. I think to be a good, well-rounded shooter, you should practice both. But I think for a new shooter, I want to remove the level of, you need to focus on the front sight. I'm not going to stress that anymore. I'm going to just say, put the front sight and the rear sight, put it on the target, worry more about your trigger press and your grip. Absolutely, unequivocally, like I am totally there. I guess where my brain is caught up is with precision. Is if I want to hit that 1-inch square at 10 yards with an irons gun, I need to focus on the front sight. I need to see that equal height, equal light. I need to shift my focus between the target and the front sight. And I don't really even care about dots. Give me fiber optics and colored dots and pictures on the sights. Like, just give me blacked out sights. I don't need any pictures on my sights. I just want to see the corner, and make those all line up to be symmetrical. And then again, depending on the gun, like, where is the
So let me complicate that. Staring at the sights and trying to be precise, right? Here's an issue you have at 10 yards. This little thing, now obviously this is a very large front sight right now, but this little itty bitty bump on the front of your gun, because of the distance relationship, is typically going to be much larger than that 1-inch square at 10 yards.
That's
right?
why you have to shift focus.
How?
But I think that's where my lazy eye gets in there, because if I'm using, when I have a red dot now, I can use my dominant eye to look through my window to see my dot, and I can use my left eye to see the target. So they transpose very nicely, and I don't have to shift focus because
you stay target focused.
Because both of my eyes do the job that they're supposed to. This one looks at the target, this one looks at the dot, and they work together to give me one nice 3D image. If I were to truly do that with the dot, which I may have, or the iron sights, I may have trained myself out of that ability because of my hard focus on the front sight so many times. Because my left eye goes lazy whenever I use irons, I would have to...
You're effectively closing one eye.
I'm effectively closing one eye. So then I have to shift focus so I can see the target and the iron at the same time. I guarantee that's what it is. So if I can maybe train my eyes to see stereoscopically with the irons, just like the way I do the red dot, it's possible I wouldn't need to do that. This is something I want to practice and play with on the range.
And here's my problem with that is, like, I feel like if I'm trying to be very precise with irons, I have to close one eye, right? At distance, right? Again, if I'm trying to hit a 1-inch square at 10 yards, I'm most likely going to have to close one eye.
See, I don't have to.
But then, but you do. You just don't.
Yeah, I just do it a different way.
You do it a different way.
But then if this is my 1-inch square and I have to put this on top of it, I can't see this anymore.
Yep.
Right? I need my other eye to be able to see that, because with one eye closed, this eye's trying to look through this thing, and I can't see that little 1-inch block anymore. It disappears. But then if I open my eyes and I try to stare at this, if I open both eyes and I try to stare at this, the target goes, whoop, and then I don't
know which one to aim.
I especially a little 1-inch thing.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I got to stay focused on the target, and then I can still see these good enough to know that my sights are lined up, and because both eyes are open, I can see this at the middle or the bottom. It depends on the gun and whatever. Most likely at 10 yards, I try to put it right. I try to cover it up. But if you cover it up, you don't know if you're up here covering it up or if you're just covering up the edge of it.
And that's where it gets like, do you have a 6 o'clock hold, or you like? But a lot of people will ask that, like, do I have a 6 o'clock hold? Means like you put the bullseye on top of your sights, or is it right behind your sights? Like, that's when you start to be able to hit that 1-inch square at 10 yards. That's when that stuff really starts mattering.
Because everything else is working.
Yeah. All right, let's read Jason's. Oh, dang it. Oh my gosh. I prefer red over green as far as fiber optics go, but my orange ring insert around my tritium front sight was the easiest to see without looking at it. I have night vision, but Trigicon ink does too. Yeah, so having those nice aftermarket sights with that fluorescent ring or the tritium night sights and things like that can definitely appeal to your eyes.
What he's
to where
talking about is a front sight like this that has a red or orange painted ring around a tritium vial in the middle. So this is kind of a yellowish color in the daylight, kind of a greenish color. It doesn't really stand out too much, but in the dark, this is glowing green. You can't necessarily see the orange so much, but in the bright sunlight, this is what you see. And it's a pretty big circle, so it stands out pretty well.
Karen says a good explanation would be valuable for new shooters after they get time and lane.
Hey, Alex.
I need to work on this.
There's somebody at the front door. Do you mind?
It's probably your 9 o'clock.
My 9 o'clock? I have a 9 o'clock?
Yes.
Oh, all right. I have a 9 o'clock.
It's your revolver guy, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think, Karen, you bring up a good point, is after they get time and lane, because you have to go, so much attention gets put on the visual. We are such visual creatures, and we can stress it all day long to you that, you know, the sights don't need to be perfect, and you're still going to want to try to make it perfect. You're still going to want to see that bullet go exactly on that little tiny X where you wanted to put it, and that causes more chaos, which makes this harder to control and makes your grip harder to control. Your mental energy should be focused on the way that you press the trigger and the way you grip the gun, unequivocally. Your sights are just they're somewhat of an afterthought there. You're just getting them relatively there. After you get inoculated the gun, you get used to everything, then you can really worry about zoning in on those sights with real precision. It'd be cool if there was a hike in the front sight. A hole. Oh, a hole. Huh. I've seen that before but I think that, I've seen guns with the fiber optics where they've fallen out, but
I think the problem with that might be
too much attention to the sights.
Well, so your front sight would have to be pretty damn big to have a hole big enough that's that far away from you that you can still see through and with any sort of validity.
Thin front sights are really nice.
Yeah.
I think they're.
So that's where I was going with this earlier when I was talking about that. It depends on the sights, right? Because at 10 yards, this would cover it up. You can get front sights that are like the size of just this.
Yeah.
So there's a big gap. Some people don't like that because there's so much wiggle room. Some people really like these to have like no wiggle room. So if there is light on the side of it, they know right away that they're off by that fraction of a millimeter. That fraction of a millimeter doesn't freaking matter.
Yeah.
Okay? But to have a really thin front sight that you can see around better is nicer for me.
So something to consider also, since we're on the topic of like purposeful practice on the range, the very first thing that you should do is give yourself a goal. And this goal cannot be changed in that moment, okay? So if you're shooting at this target, okay, there's lots of targets on this target. You have the whole, is this a square? You have the whole square, okay? It's like, okay, I want to shoot 10 rounds efficiently. You got the whole square, okay, at 5 yards. Leave that as your goal. If you hit all 10 shots and they all hit the square, those are all bullseyes, okay? Scott Jadliski calls this an F-off target, okay? So they all hit it. That was your standard. But let's say you wanted to dial in some precision, so you start working on precision and not efficiency, and you want to hit this little tiny square here with 5 shots at 10 yards, okay? Then hit this. If you pull one out here, ask yourself why.
Why?
Okay? But if you make your standard, let's say this circle here, and you hit right here, which is still inside the circle.
Or right here, or right here, or right here, or right here in the middle.
And you start beating yourself up because it's not in the middle of the middle of the middle, then you're changing your
Fail.
goal in the moment. Don't do that to yourself. A lot of times we'll put up one of those bullseye targets, and it'll have like the rings, and then in the middle it has a teeny tiny little X. And we'll take shooters out there, and new or advanced shooters, doesn't matter. They'll start shooting because everybody wants to hit the center of things. The center of things are what our brain likes to see. So if you don't hit that little X, you're like, God dang it. You cannot measure yourself based off of that because you're not truly setting a good standard for yourself. If you want to hit that little tiny X, then you need to apply the technique to hit that tiny little X. But if you're just shooting to shoot and you don't have a standard set for yourself, or you don't have an application process, then you're setting yourself up for failure and you're lowering your sense of confidence hands down. So ask yourself what you want to do, and then apply the fundamentals to require that. What sight alignment or what movement in the dot is acceptable to hit a target like that? What trigger presses is required to get that? If you need to send 10 shots in an A zone in 2 seconds, then you need to get after it and make sure that your left hand can overcome all this stuff happening.
Is that okay to slap the crap out of the trigger?
100%.
Yeah.
You have to. You couldn't get past it otherwise.
If it allows you, again, we go back to close distance, say A zone, right? If I'm trying to hit this 6-inch by 12-inch target at 3 yards, I can slap the crap out of the trigger and still hit that. If we go back to 25 yards, okay, now I have to be a little bit more precise with my trigger press because the deviations, the errors are magnified greatly going from 3 yards back to 25 yards. So I have to be more careful in pressing the trigger.
Yep.
Everything else looks the same, right? The gun's still in front of my face. It's just now I have to slow this guy down to make sure that I actually make the hits.
I've heard this from another instructor. I don't remember who it was, but it was, I think it was a precision class. So, and Gordon, we'll talk about that in a second. Good morning, Jana. If you need to sign your name, your signature, all day long, okay, easy day. You can do that, and it's almost hard to actually slow down and get perfect cursive. If you need to get efficient shots at a quick pace, you're signing your name. If you need to be more careful to get that precision shot and get that perfect cursive, then you need to be more careful with all these things. You're being more conscious of the way that you move your hand, and you're moving. You're more focused on it. So it's important to understand what is required. Do you just need to sign your name, or you need to get that perfect cursive? And Gordon, knowing the why of a miss is that is the hardest part of
tough.
Training.
Yep.
And get a dot on your gun because it will tell you everything.
You have to know how to read it.
You have to know how to read it. But to me, that is the most valuable thing I have found in using a red dot, is to be able to self-diagnose and understand. For one, I can ask my students, like, what did the dot do? And then we can talk about it and we can figure out where the weak part is. Was it our grip? Was it our presentation? Was it our trigger press? Was it you didn't even see the dot? Was it, there's all kinds of ways to analyze what your dot is doing to figure out where you need to work. Grip, aim, press. Grip, aim, press. Those 3 things are the main fundamentals of getting a good shot. And you can use the dot to analyze all those things to figure out what's going on. You don't have to have a dot to do this, but it definitely helps.
It helped. It makes it way easier. When I got my new Shadow, Martin, good morning. I got my new Shadow. I shot it for a little while without a dot, and it was weird shooting it fast because when I have a dot on it, I can see this green or red streak bouncing around in front of my face. As long as it's bouncing around within whatever my acceptable level of accuracy is, I can keep ripping the trigger. When I have irons, I don't have the luxury, right? It almost made me feel lazy, right? Because I felt like I was having to worry about seeing those sights bounce around inside of there, which is harder because they're not lit up. Now, that might change as Jason was kind of talking about, with different color fiber optics mixed with different, rings around them and all that sort of stuff that stands out to your eye more. That's a huge advantage with the dot, is that if I know that I have to hit this A zone, all I got to see if I'm at 5 yards is this green flash bouncing around within the A zone. And I know I'm making my hits.
What if it goes like
or
this?
Okay, well then it's my grip.
Yeah.
I need to fix my grip more. I want to see it tracking straight up and down. If I start seeing it go towards a side, in this case left, it's weird because this is backwards.
Yeah.
But if I see my dot tracking up and to the left, well, I'm not gripping tight enough with my left hand. I really need to try to control the gun more. Or control's the wrong word. You can't control the gun, but you can direct the forces more efficiently.
You can't control the recoil. Controlling doesn't mean you're stopping it, though. I think controlling is an appropriate word.
Controlling, I think if you understand what it means, yes, but in my head when I say it, I think people think that means like bang and pushing the gun back down, bang and push. Like I'm taking control of this. I'm pushing this thing right. I got armbarred this morning and my freaking elbow hurts.
Your grip should be controlling it,
yes.
Controlling it back down to where it was. We don't apply our whole body to do that, which is a flinch will typically do that to you. But right, the lighting, yes, like
your grip should allow the gun to do what it's going to do and return back to zero, to your starting point.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, if you find where you're shooting and it's slipping out of your left hand, okay, well, you need to grip tighter with your left hand, or maybe you're just over gripping the gun with your dominant hand.
So purposeful practice can also be training your eyes to learn to read the dot, because
that's a hard thing to do, and that is definitely a purposeful thing.
Absolutely. And just like, when you present the gun out and your dot comes from the left and then it bounces in and then bounces out, like, where is the weakest point there? Well, maybe you need to tighten your left hand to get the gun straight out in front of you versus coming from the left. Are you building your grip too late? And it is very hard because it forces you to stay present with the shot and not waiting for what's coming after that. To be truly present with the shot. I know it sounds silly and whatever and voodoo magic and everything, but trust me, if you can actually be present with the shot and pay attention to what's happening in the moment, shooting becomes a meditation. It is does. Like, man, it's like rolling. Like, there's nothing else to think about other than in that moment how to apply the correct fundamentals to keep that dot where it needs to be. And Janet, you're right. It's so hard. But I promise you, if you can get to that, it is liberating. It is liberating, and shooting is enjoyable again. It is not like you're just all this effort into it. It is just freaking enjoy it, and it's nice. It's nice.
So nice. Anyway, we've been rambling a long time. I don't know how long we've been doing this, but it's been a while.
Okay.
So we kind of roundabout got to our point. We did take the long road to get here. Bottom line is purposeful practice, right? Is that something you have to have all the time? Again, your purpose might just be stress relief, and I want to go and blow $50 on ammo and come out here and just freaking rip the trigger a bunch, and just, you don't care about the target. Don't shoot the ceiling. Don't shoot the neighbor's targets, okay? But rip the trigger as fast as you want and just be like, whoo, man, that feels good.
Yeah, totally.
That's a purpose. Okay, you have a purpose. If you can come out here and put work in and have defined goals for you to try to accomplish, and you might not accomplish them right now, today. You say, okay, I've got this target I'm going to get every time I come in. It's got this one spot on it that I want to be able to hit at 5 yards. With 5 shots as fast as I can. Do the drill thing that I did a couple weeks ago. The 5 by 5 by 5. Bring a playing card in, tape it up to one of our targets, and shoot at it. Just go from presentation. If you're not holster certified, just go from presentation and just push it out and take 5 shots. Don't even worry about the timer or any of that sort of thing. Just push it out. Can you hit it 5 times in a row at 5 yards? If you can, then try to do it a little bit faster. So, try to make that first shot happen a little bit sooner.
There's also, for those of you that are not advanced shooters to the point where that's a comfortable drill for you to do, one of the students I was just working with over the weekend, we just start by picking up the gun. Make a gun, take a gun. Pick it up, build grip here, okay? Push it out, touch the trigger finger goes straight, bring it back down. You can work on just developing finger discipline. That is huge, okay?
It's great for people that are nervous, because a lot of people are nervous to even have the gun here.
Yeah.
Right? To understand that you're in control of this thing.
Yep.
And that you can push out, you can touch the trigger, you can change your mind, get your finger up, the trigger and come back.
Yep. You don't have to keep your finger straight the whole time, and then when you're ready to take a shot, move it and take the shot. You can touch it. It's not going to do anything, but then you need to make sure that you take it back off before you come back down. If you have a safety, work on your safety. Take the safety off as you present out, put it back on as you come back. Developing these little habits. Take your magazine out, unload it, set it down, practice loading it again. Get used to this process. Just get comfortable with your gun. You can work on all kinds. Practice keeping your shoulders relaxed. You push the gun out and you're like this.
You go watch our last video. Was it us doing the concealment stuff?
Yeah, we were drawing from concealment. That's what I was working on. Was just relaxing my shoulders as I push the gun out. That's huge, guys.
It's so cool. You can see her do it too when you go through the draw process. Gun comes out and it.
It's just, and that relaxation, it's part of just not getting into the chaos of what is about to happen. It's such a mental game. So there's all kinds of little things to work on. We'll be happy to help you through it.
It's so amazing too how relaxed you have to be to go fast.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Because if you're trying to defeat the tension, because if you're tense, right, muscles are all stressed and tight. When you then have to move, you have to change which muscles are being engaged. You have to relax one muscle to engage another one, and it slows you down.
Yeah.
Right? So if you can convince yourself to just relax.
Oh, what about your dominant hand? Like, we so desperately want to over tighten with our dominant hand, and that is a huge reason why you shoot left as a right-handed shooter.
Damn shoulders.
Try to relax that dominant hand and really worry on keeping your support hand tight. That's another thing you can work on. Build your grip here. I know you talk about his newfound.
Yeah, well, he had a student this weekend that's a good shooter, trains with us a lot, trains all over the place, and he was shooting to the right. And Vin, gave him a goal to do with his, he's a left-handed shooter, right? Gave him a goal to do with his left hand, something for him to consciously think about. And it changed the way he shot.
Yeah.
Right? And he's been shooting a long time. He shoots at a relatively high level, and it's just a little mental shift. And it was because he's left-handed. He was over gripping with his left hand, which was a limiting factor for him. You think about even just from trying to pull the trigger fast, right? Not even worried about accuracy or anything like that. If you've got all these fingers, tied up, tight, and you're trying to move this one quickly, it's really hard.
Just try it right now.
Yeah.
Just make a fist and then try to move
with these three fingers, and try to move this thing quickly. It's way different than if these fingers are loose, and you can run the gun, man.
That's so awesome.
It's convincing yourself that it's okay to do that. That's a tough thing.
I want to go shoot.
All right, we gotta go. I have a meeting that starts in 15 minutes, and I'm not ready for it. If you guys need something, we are closing early on Wednesday, 4 o'clock, I think. I kind of failed because I didn't prep before this. I don't know for certain.
Good job.
I'm pretty sure that we are closing at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. We are not open on Thursday, and we'll be open. What? 4:30. 4:30. No.
4:30. Why 4:30?
Nope. Is on the schedule till 4:30? Oh, well, that changed recently. Okay, we're open till 4:30. 4:30. It might be 4 o'clock. Alex might be wrong. I don't know. So somewhere between 4 and 4:30, we will be locking the doors.
Keep an eye on Facebook for sure.
Yes.
Charles
and we will not be here on Thursday. We will be back to normal hours bright and early on Friday. So keep your eye on your emails for Black Friday deals. Members have had the opportunity to take advantage of them all this month. What do we have? We have a TAC Pack 365 thing.
Anderson.
Anderson rifles. That's a great deal. It's a fantastic deal for an AR. I don't know what else we've had. Man, it is really kind of looking like rain out there.
Told you.
But it's not raining.
I'm gonna be right.
It just
twice
looks like
today.
rain.
I'm
That's
gonna
not
be right
that's
twice
not true. Anyway, we'll have deals. On Friday, everybody will be able to take advantage of them. Up till then, members can still take advantage. So normal hours today, tomorrow, close early on Wednesday, closed Thursday, then we're open normal hours Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which are 10 to 8 Monday through Friday, Saturday 9 to 6, Sunday 10 to 6. It's our normal hours. If you guys need something, come see us, come hang out with us. Stay tuned for maybe some kind of drill day stuff. I'm throwing around some ideas that I want to do. I want to talk to you about it today. I talked to Vin about it the other day. But maybe we have some early morning, like come in for an hour and just run a drill. I thought about doing if you're a concealed carrier, you should be able to complete this task.
Like a qual kind of thing?
Yeah, a qual of sort that will just let people run. Not really a teaching thing, but let people see where they're at skill-wise. And we run the same one every so often and let you see if you can improve over time. And maybe we can give you some stuff to work on or whatever. But
that's what we're doing for Lady Sentinel Competition Night. We're going to be running that every other month for Lady Sentinel. And it's going to be the same stage, fairly simple in nature, but will require you to, quickly assess the target, quickly shoot the target, move with your gun, reload, maybe shoot from around a barricade. So you get to see what you need to work on with, efficiency, with accuracy, with movement, with reloads, with gear, with barricade work, all kinds of stuff. So we're going to keep the same stage so that way you can keep track of your times and then just to see where you need to work on moving forward. So build some confidence. Okay,
right.
That's it.
We gotta go. All right, you guys need something? Come see us. Come get a. Oh, you're not wearing your shirt. Come get a Lady Sentinel sweatshirt. Hoodies for the rain should be in maybe even today. It's getting cold outside, even though it's like 60 degrees outside right now. But it's gonna be getting cold soon, and they're gonna be nice to have. I'm getting one. You guys need something? Come see us. 14803 Manchester Road in beautiful Baldwin, Missouri. 10 to 8 Monday through Friday, Saturday 9 to 6, Sunday 10 to 6. Stay safe. Be nice to one another.